Here we go with a tutorial as to how to cover a new top for your board, because it's really a pretty easy process, and the point of my design is that it would make it where a guy could change this top and not have to go buy a brand new board to do it, and it's really pretty easy. So here you go, take a look, and you'll see that it's something that's probably within the means of most of you. When you're getting a new piece of plywood for your top, I use a 5/8 inch AC, a little thicker than half-inch. Half-inch is probably going to work in most cases. On a smaller board, no problem. On a deeper board or a big board, I start to worry about flex a little bit with half-inch, so I use 5/8. You can get by with 3/4 inch if that's all you can find, but it won't sit down inside the frame quite as much, so it'll be a little more flush with the top of the frame. Try to get a piece that's flat, which is not easy to do, I know, but if the plywood is particularly warped, it may not be a good idea for your board, because if it curls diagonally from this corner to this corner and you lay it down, you screw it down, it's going to want to lift your front feet up off the ground a little bit, which is no big deal. Once you put your pedals on it, it's going to lay down from the weight of the pedals. It's just that for me, I'm not going to let that get out of my shop that way. So it's something to be aware of. Try to get as flat a piece as you can. The first thing you're going to do is, if you are going to run cables underneath or have holes for your pedals so that you're screwing your pedals down solid, you want to do all that, lay that all out before you Velcro. That's one of the main reasons for showing this. One of the things you want to consider right away is, when this board doesn't have them on there yet because we haven't got to that point, but generally you're going to have your L brackets coming up along the sides here, and then you've got this piece here that obviously, if you're drilling holes for cables, it's not going to work too good drilling close to the edges. So what I suggest is, before you drill any holes, you flip your top upside down, flip your board around, take a pen or a pencil and trace around the outside edge, and that'll give you that spot that you know you don't want to be drilling in. And also take a pencil mark around each of the brackets so that you know not to try to drill there. Okay. Now once you've got all your holes drilled, I'll sand off both sides reasonably well. The top, I will take some real coarse sandpaper on a sanding block and give the top some teeth for the adhesive to stick to it. I'll go against the grain 2 different directions, a couple times over, and rough that up real well. I also like to take and break down the hard edges, the corners, a little bit, because then when the Velcro bends over the top of it, it's going to be less likely to cut into the Velcro. And so that's a real quick, easy job with some really heavy, like 24 to 36 grit sandpaper. Just around the sides like that, and you're ready to go. I use high strength 90 3M spray adhesive. Start on one side. The main thing here is that you're trying to cover it evenly. You're kind of working against the clock a little bit. Once you get going, you don't want to stop and take a break for coffee or anything. Flip it around. I like to get my edges first. Okay. And then at this point, it's just all about trying to cover it as evenly as you can. If you're getting too heavy with it, you'll get these little white splotches, and you don't want that. You want to avoid that. So then we got the top done. I'll set this out of the way for just a minute. Go back to your piece of Velcro. Same kind of thing. Biggest downside to this is the glue is expensive. It's one thing I sure wish I could find a cheaper source, but at this point I haven't been able to. But it works really well. Okay. Now you just give that a minute, maybe, at that. Just let it set up a little bit. And here's the important part. Once you set this on there, you're not going to move it. So You know, you want to cut your Velcro with 1 inch or 2 all the way around. Get it where you want it, and just drop it in place. Next thing to do is run this line straight out and cut off your corners. So you're just cutting out the corner like this. Again, you're kind of going against the clock a little bit. You don't want to dally too much here. And I like to flip the board over, work it all down good. Oh yeah, that feels so good. Flip the board over again. I like to take it out over the edge of the desk, and then I kind of work it with my palm, where I'm kind of pushing up over the edge, getting a nice tight edge on it like this. Same way all the way around. One of the things I should have mentioned earlier too, on when you're cutting your top for your board, if you're using Velcro, basically you want the top to sit inside your frame and have about 3/16 of an inch extra. You kind of wanting to make room for the puffiness, the thickness of the Velcro. So your top has to have a little bit of a gap for that Velcro. Next, and this is where a fresh blade is really good, otherwise you'll have a jagged cut. You still might. But a nice sharp blade, and I push down on the board. And just like that, you're rocking a new top for your Pumaboard. If you've got holes drilled for your wiring, then you're probably going to want to poke a nail or something in through the top this way to try to open the holes up. And then you cut out your holes with an X-Acto knife from the top side. Again, it's real easy to do. At this point, I'll give it a spray of flat black paint for the back. Makes it look a little cleaner. Also, I should say you should let this dry for 24 hours before you're putting any pedals on and pulling them back off, before you're actually pulling on the Velcro. Let it set up for 24 hours if you can. So there you go. That's how you make yourself a new top. And once you figure out how to do this, you can do it as many times as you need to, and your board's going to last you forever.